against poor people.
I mean, I turned down the Zimmerman case in large part because of my family came first, and I knew that would take a year away from my family. And I wasn't willing to make that sacrifice, although it was the largest case in the country. There was extremists on both sides. And it saddens me that we still have that going on in this country. You know, many of the George Zimmerman supporters were out and out racists. Many of the Trayvon Martin supporters, in my opinion, were racist as well. Those are the polar extremes. Those are not the majority of people. But they're the fringe on both sides, and sadly, that's who gets a lot of attention. The 80% of people who might side on one side or the other are the people that are being sane and intelligent and evaluating it. And it's the extremists on both sides that get the attention, like so many other social issues. Those are the ones that get the attention, they get the media, but they really don't speak for the majority of people. I think it tells us that we have a lot further to go concerning race relations in the United States. I think that it also tells us that the truth be damned as it relates to when people form opinions. So many people on both sides, on the polar extremes of that case, they did not care what the facts were. They were locked into their positions and their opinions, and they were not going to let the facts or truth on either side get in the way of their opinion. And I think that's unfortunate, because rather than looking at it as a learning experience, they looked at it as an opportunity for them to scream from their soapboxes. And I think that there's a lot of lessons on both sides. I think that there's no question in my mind that the prosecution in that case was very politically motivated. And there's no question in my mind, similarly, that race is still an issue and that we still have issues that we have to address as it relates to profiling and as it relates to minorities being treated differently in the system. And I never thought there would be a conviction on the case. Now, what makes me sad about that is that a lot of people in this culture don't understand the difference between giving a legal opinion and a moral one. People will never know my moral or philosophical opinions about the case. But when I gave legal opinions, I look at the evidence, I look at the information that I think is admissible or not admissible, and then I draw a conclusion. That's what the legal commentator is supposed to do. Remember, the public sees much more evidence than a juror is going to see, because many things are not admissible. So as the public, we know what's going on, but a juror who is limited about what they're allowed to have admitted and their knowledge of the case before they're seated knows a lot less than the average viewer. So when you take all that in, you give a position about what's going to happen. And I think a lot of people confuse that. They don't understand that a legal commentator, a legal opinion, is evaluating the evidence and applying it to the law and then letting people know what's going on. And we pretty much called it right throughout. And so I think the dialogue is great as long as we're listening to each other and we're not screaming so loud that we drowned each other out.